Hello everybody and welcome to Bridgewater. Now today I'm going to be travelling to Bruton, which is currently the least used railway station in Somerset. However, I'm going to be going there by local bus rather than taking the train. I will be taking a train on the return journey and taking some more buses, but I thought it would just be quite interesting to take the bus to Bruton to begin with. So here's my first bus arriving into Bridgewater, which is a First West of England Adel Enviro 400 MMC. This was on the first journey of the day on a Saturday on the 375 service, which heads towards Street, Glastonbury and Wells before continuing alongside the 374 and 376 services onwards to Bristol. I'll be taking this service as far as Street. Here I am passing through the small village of Shapwick after passing through a number of other small and larger villages between Bridgewater and Street. Apart from the once-a-day 19 Somerset Council College bus service, the 375 is the only bus service this village gets. Here I am arriving into Street. Now here I had a bit of a dilemma. I had a -1 minute connection here between the 375 and my next bus, which would take me all the way to Bruton, which is of course the South West Coaches 667. Now on most days, or on most Saturdays at least, I would make this bus, as the bus often arrives into Street, Crispin Hall a few minutes ahead of schedule. However, today the bus ended up departing each timing point around 4 or 5 minutes late, which meant I then missed the 667 service. So I decided to come back this time on a weekday, so I was guaranteed to make the 667, and sure enough, this time around I did. On this day, it was formed by a lovely 6-pot Optare Solo SR, and I've got a feeling I've been on this exact bus before, either on the number 1 or the 667 service. As you can see, a large amount of bus services use Street Crispin Hall at around 9 o'clock on a weekday morning. I believe most of these bus services come off at college runs. Here is a Bath City branded First West of England Adel Enviro 200 on the local 373 service, which shuttles all day back and forth between Street Green Lanes Avenue, Street Town Centre, Glastonbury, the local Glastonbury estates around Windmill Hill and Wells. In the morning and evenings, this bus does the 55 College service from Rantage and follows the 54 Yeovil service as far as Somerton before branching off and following the 376 to Street before dropping off college students. After that, like I said earlier, it does the 373 all day long. There goes the Shepton Mallet bus service, which operates via Glastonbury, West Panhard and Pilton. I didn't realise this service had actually been re-tendered and taken over by Froome Bus. I swear it used to be operated by Libra Travel. Anyway, Here I am leaving Street bang on time at 09:10 on this lovely 6-pot solo. I'll be taking this about an hour and 20 minutes up the route to Bruton. After that, the bus will continue onwards to Wincanton. Here I am passing through Butley, which is the first village en route towards Wincanton. After passing through Boltonsborough, we got stuck on this small bridge for about 10 minutes or so, but after that we were soon on the move towards Lidford-on-Foss. It was quite nice to be fair sat on this bridge. It was quite refreshing just seeing the water slowly flowing by. Along with Lidford-on-Foss, apart from the Strode College services, the 667 is the only bus service that serves both Kenton Mandeville and Lidford-on-Foss, along with other villages in this area. Here I am arriving into Castle Carey railway station, which is actually located quite a way away from Castle Carey village. Here, the only bus services that serve the railway station are the South West Coaches 667 and 1 services. However, the timetables on both of these services is actually quite clever, and all of these buses on both routes serve Castle Carey railway station at around the same time. So some connections are available, but not only between trains, but also between buses. If you do miss the bus, there is a short walk you can also take which heads via Ansford into Castle Carey village centre. Here I am passing through Castle Carey village centre around the horse pond. I think it's quite a shame really that not more bus services serve this village, as I think more people would use them if there are more buses to more destinations. Although this village does actually get some bus services, which is actually quite good for this area of the county, I think more of them would be brilliant, as all you can really go to is Yeovil, Shepton Mallet Street or Wincanton. And well, not many of those places, albeit apart from perhaps Yeovil, are not really very appealing. And the 667 takes ages to get anywhere. That's because it takes a stupid route. And when you look on a map, it is really ridiculous, especially when you're heading between Castle Carey and Wincanton. If it operated a more direct route, and if there are more connections from Wincanton, then maybe the service would be popular. However, it operates via Bruton, which although I'm finding that useful today, no ordinary person is going to want to go to the Leashew station in Somerset, let's be honest there. And also, when you actually get to Wincanton, the only buses are back the way you came, either towards Castle Carey Street or towards Yeovil, and if you're travelling from Castle Carey, it's easier just to get the 1 service anyway. If you are travelling on this service on a Saturday though, you can connect onto the Salisbury Reg 25, which will take you onwards to Salisbury, which I think is a rather good decision, as it only serves Wincanton on a Saturday. I do think it would be even better if it served Wincanton on weekdays as well. Anyway, that's enough of me waffling on. Here I am passing through the beautiful village of Shepton Montague. Here I am getting off the bus right next to Bruton Station entrance. Now I think the driver in the Bruton area was just using this part of the route as a hail and ride section, as I was supposed to get off at the Church Bridge stop. I'm not too sure exactly where that was. We went over the so-called Church Bridge and there was no indication of a bus stop there. And I went and was going to get off more in the centre of Bruton at the Bruton Bank stop, which is right in the heart of the village, and again there's no indication of a bus stop being there. In the end, the driver dropped me off at the entrance to Bruton Station, where there's not even supposed to be a bus stop, so that was quite an interesting part of the journey. Anyway, Bruton Station is quite interesting. It has two signal boxes. I believe one is original and one has just been put there to make it look nice, because when you actually see it, it's not really going to be there, is it? Although then again, the one right next to the railway line, which you can see from this shot right here, may also not be original. I'm not really too sure, but I'm pretty sure it is original. Anyway, Bruton Station gets served by the 2 hourly Weymouth to Bristol and Gloucester services, which sometimes stop short at Westbury. As well as that, there's a few South Western Railway services which call here, heading either towards Yeovil or London Waterloo via Salisbury. Bruton Station is quite small and is quite cute to some extent, but because of how small it is, it doesn't really surprise me that it is overall the least used station in Somerset. However, I don't think it is by much. Then again, I could be wrong. I haven't done my research. I'm not interested in all of that rubbish. I just came here to have a look at the station, which I found pleasantly nice. I didn't think it was going to be as nice as it was, and I thought it was going to be quite boring. And yeah, there isn't a station building, there's no ticket machine, there's not really many, if any, nice old signs, but overall the station was just nice and peaceful. It certainly had a lot of awards. Here is a sign dating back from when Wessex Trains used to operate the local services through the station, and when First Great Western, which is now Great Western Railway, just used to operate the fast express trains. Bruton is located on the so-called Berks and Hants line, even though it barely travels through Berkshire and doesn't travel through Hampshire at all, so that's a little bit strange. The line itself runs from Taunton all the way across to Reading, but most train services, or in fact I think pretty much all of them, travel from London Paddington through Reading and then travel on the line, sometimes diverging off to head to Westbury before continuing on to Taunton and Exeter. After Exeter, some trains continue on to either Paignton or Plymouth and Penzance. I don't believe Bruton gets any direct train services to London Paddington, which is probably why South Western Railway take the opportunity that they have to operate train services to London Waterloo. One thing I find quite interesting about this station, and Jeff Marshall did cover it a couple years ago when he also visited this station, because it has been the least used station for quite some time now, the platform for the trains heading towards Castle Cary, Yeovil and Weymouth, seemingly, strangely, 3/4 of the way down, changes from tarmac to gravel. I'm not too sure why it does this, and surely this is like a safety hazard or something. I don't see a problem with it, but surely somebody somewhere does. Although Bruton only gets stopping trains every 2 hours, lots of trains do come through this station straight through. There we go, that was me visiting the least used station in Somerset, Bruton. Anyways, thank you very much. No, I'm just joking. Although I am leaving Bruton for will probably be my final time. I wouldn't imagine I'd ever come back here for any kind of reason. I am taking this train 4 minutes up the line, one stop to Castle Cary. After that, the train will continue on to Yeovil, Penmill, Dorchester West and Weymouth. Now, because there's no ticket machine here, I didn't have a ticket, and because the conductor on board the train didn't bother to see if I had a ticket or not, I technically got a free ride. That was absolutely brilliant, as these days I try to save all the pennies I have.
The next station is Castle Cary. This is a Great Western Railway service to Weymouth.
As we leave Bruton, here we are passing one of the very few southwestern services heading towards London Waterloo via Salisbury.
We are now approaching Castle Cary.
Please mind the gap between the train Please mind the gap between the train and the platform and take care when stepping down from the train.
Here I am arriving into Castle Kerry, where I had a little bit of time to enjoy some more peace and quiet before heading home on the 667 service via street. Castle Kerry station is quite nice, but it's also very strange. It's big, but at the same time small, and it's located smack bang in the middle of nowhere. Even Castle Kerry village itself is quite a way from here, and it takes a good 5 minutes on the bus at least. It is strange though, as a lot of people do use the station, as a lot of other villages and towns near Castle Kerry that used to have railway stations but now don't, have to go to either Taunton or Castle Kerry, and they just find Castle Kerry more convenient. Because of the popularity of the station, both with commuters and tourists alike, the station has recently had a few upgrades. It now has a much larger car park, one that actually won't overcrowd every time the Glastonbury Festival is held, and it has an upgraded bus stop and bus shelter. As well as this, there's a few other buildings, including a cafe, and at the time of filming, they were refurbishing the ticket office, which I thought was quite good.
Stand back from the platform edge and hold on to pushchairs and wheelchairs.
GWR have been doing a lot of similar upgrades to stations across the West Country, similar to the ones that are currently happening at Castle Kerry, including at stations such as Weston-super-Mare, Bridgewater, although those ones haven't been particularly great, Taunton, and a few others which I can't remember. There are a few stations that I think should be upgraded, including Yeovil Pen Mill, but as for now, most of the stations in Somerset at least are pretty solid, and there are a few other good ones across the West Country. Here is a view of the lovely Castle Kerry station, still wearing its old Great Western colours, from the walking route into the village. Here I am passing through the newer part of Castle Kerry station, which I actually didn't remember being here before, so this part must be incredibly new. Unfortunately, the station cafe was shut today, however it was nice to see some upgrades being done at this otherwise quite small railway station. It's quite nice to see that there has been some development around the car park and bus stop area as well, as although the 667 was always scheduled to turn around here, there was not very much to tell you that there was a bus even scheduled to turn around here, and the number 1 service was actually scheduled to depart from the main road just outside of the station, where there is no indication of a bus stop, and on the side of buses heading towards Shepton Manor, there's not even a pavement, so that was well thought out, wasn't it? Anyway, here is the first of a few buses we will see in about 5 minutes or so. This was the Optare Solo from earlier that we saw, heading once again towards Wincanton on the 667. And here is the one and only South West Coaches Optare Metro City on the number 1 service heading towards Yeovil. This vehicle has recently been repainted out of the South West Coaches silver livery into the plain white South West Coaches livery. However, no new logos have been applied yet. This Optare Metro City in particular is quite a unique one, as it was the first ever single-door Optare Metro City to be ordered and delivered to an independent bus operator. Here's my next bus arriving into Castle Kerry station to take me back to Street. This was the same awesome 6-pot Optare Solo SR from earlier on. However, since then, it had gained about 15 or 20 minutes. Or should I say lost, because it was running about 15 to 20 minutes late. Here I am passing over the lovely bridge from earlier, which the bus got stuck on. Luckily, this time around it didn't get stuck, and from here on outwards it managed to gain 3 or 4 minutes. Here I am arriving back into Street Village Centre or Town Centre, I'm not really too sure, back at the Crispin Hall. I'm now going to leave you here, so thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it quite interesting. It was just me trying something different, and over the next couple of months I'm going to try doing some more train related videos, so if you'd like to see more of them, then please let me know. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone!